Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. We have a great episode for you this week. We are 49 days into the 60-day legislative session, so we can see the end of the troublemaking on the horizon. We are still hard at work, though, defending our commonwealth against the GOP supermajority, their efforts to blow up the social safety net, and this episode tonight, due to some horrible comments in the legislature, we're going to bring back the worst Politico of the moment. We're going to close out with our guest, Louisville Democratic Party Chair Virginia Woodward. We want to learn all we can from our Commonwealth's undisputed Democratic stronghold. So should be a heck of an episode. Thanks for tuning in. But first, are you ready to help turn Kentucky purple? We know that our Commonwealth has some work to do if we're going to beat back the red wave of bad politics and policy from this GOP supermajority. From bills to block reproductive justice to cutting taxes for the wealthy while blocking investments in our Commonwealth, we are going to need your help. So if you want a Commonwealth that works for all of us, join Progress Kentucky. It's easy. Just follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever you spend time on social media. Make sure to like and share and comment on our content. If you like what you're hearing right now on Kernels of Truth, give us a thumbs up, leave us a review, or share out the show. But first, I want to check in with my lovely co-host. Check in, say who you are, where you are, what does your protest sign say today? And you there on the internet, we want to hear from you as well. We want to hear what you are protesting, because, of course, this is not some talking head show on the interwebs. This is a digital demonstration for a more compassionate Commonwealth, and you got to bring your sign to the demonstration. So I'm Aaron. I'm coming to you from Childsburg in Lexington, and my sign says, "We elected these clowns. We should have expected this circus." All right. And then Kimberly, my co-host tonight, how are you?
I'm doing good, Aaron, and everybody. Um, I don't know if I'm up on the screen. Am I up on the screen?
You might not be. You might not be.
Okay.
There you
Hi,
are.
everybody. Okay, so I got this blurred thing going on because I'm in a different place, but I'm just going to use my earrings to be my protest sign tonight.
Uh-huh.
Hashtag we are oh so close.
I love it. Yeah.
And did you notice it was pink and green like my sorority?
I No, I didn't notice that the pink and green lined up with your sorority. You were in a sorority?
Oh, you all know, like I went through a whole show. Like it was impossible for me to go through a whole show without telling everybody I was an AKA, and that our Madame Vice President Kamala Harris is a soror. She is part of the Alpha Kappa Alpha family
So
as well.
it has been so long since you brought that up. I thought maybe, I don't know, were you like disappointed in how your soror was doing in the role of vice president? It was not coming up nearly as often for a very long stretch there. What's the story, Kimberly?
Well, the actual story of that is it's been so many other pressing issues, and we only have an hour-long show, so I kind of like strike that. But I do want to bring up, and thank you, Aaron, for this platform for 30 seconds or less. Um, I just feel like Kamala Harris, our vice president, first one in history, and a woman of color, is doing a phenomenal job. The MSM, mainstream media, is trying to make her out to be some villainous woman. However, they say she's not doing things in the community, but I'm here to tell you she has done remarkable things that you may not know about, and she's very accessible in our sorority.
All right. Yeah, I got no complaints really. I mean, I think you're right. The mainstream media is like, for whatever reason, looking to, like they do, they want conflict, they want, stories that are maybe, sow division, whatnot. But yeah, I don't personally have any complaints because I know that, you know, it's a thankless job, right? It's not the easiest job. They're like, hey, here's your issues you're going to go solve. And you don't have a ton of resources. You just have this bully pulpit. And it's not as strong a pulpit as the other guys, at any rate. So glad to hear that you're still absolutely proud of your soror and glad to check in on that. All right, so we are going to jump into news of the week. I'm going to go ahead and just acknowledge it right now, folks. I'm going to acknowledge it right now that this is this is going to be an interesting show for a number of reasons. So we're going to do news of the week. That's coming up. We also have plans to talk to a fantastic guest tonight as well. That's going to be Virginia Woodward, who's with the Louisiana Democratic Party. We're going to do a little bit of a campaign corner recap from last week, if folks remember it. And of course, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we got the worst Politico of the moment. So if you're quick, you figure out who it is. But we're going to tell the story of why that guy is so bad. But we're a little hamstrung. So we've only got 2 co-hosts. We usually like to roll with 3. And we've got no Annabelle. So we do not have a producer. So this is all being done by me. All complaints, please send them my way if there are problems with the visuals not matching up with what we're talking about. Also, Kimberly's disappearing right now. I don't know what's going on there. But her lovely sunken her lovely sunken living room is, I don't know, grabbing her. She's sinking into it or something. We're gonna play a little fast and loose, I think, tonight is really what it comes down to. But what I'm going to do is start with our first story. I'm going to do 2 stories, one from DC, one from Frankfort. At the federal level, we've got Rand Paul and Thomas Massie, and they're always not entertaining, war on public health. What we do know is that these gentlemen definitely think they are in a war for freedom and liberty, and they're against the folks trying desperately to keep us safe during a pandemic who are working very hard. There have been 2 new developments on that front. The first is that these jokers are actually suing the CDC over mask requirements on airlines. Yeah, that's right. They've got a who's who of moronic and irresponsible members of Congress lined up with them. Marjorie Taylor Greene and other Twitter trolls. They took a moment from spreading Putin propaganda to file suit to try to end the mask mandates on airlines, saying that CDC doesn't have the necessary authority to issue such guidance because, darn it, they're Congress and they make all the laws. So there's no way the CDC could be issuing recommendations that required, federal travel to be safe as it can be. So that was the first story from DC. And then, of course, we've got your friend of mine, Rand Paul, looking once again for a chance to make hay about Anthony Fauci, Dr. Fauci. He's actually introduced legislation that would remove Dr. Fauci as the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Which, of course, he's been there for a really long time and he's done a really good job. But Rand Paul really doesn't like him because, let's hear from Dr. Paul himself. He said, "We've learned a lot over the past 2 years, not all of us, but one lesson in particular is that no one person should be deemed dictator in chief," said Paul. "No one person should have unilateral authority to make decisions for millions of Americans." Of course, that's not really how it works at all. But, once again, why let the facts stand in the way of a good quote, which, of course, I don't think it's a great quote because no one should be deemed dictator in chief. And no one has, in fact, been deemed dictator in chief. So that's a little bit of a quibble. But again, I don't understand why Rand Paul, as we here in Frankfort, or I'm sorry, in Kentucky, are dealing with, idiots in Frankfort. We've got, fights at the local level about mask mandates in schools. I, for one, am relieved that we're finally out of the red and into the orange, in our county. But, that's what we should be determining whether or not we have masks, right? The actual health information, not somebody's political agenda or the propaganda they think they can sell to their base, which is 100%, my expectation as to why Rand Paul and Thomas Massie are doing what they're doing. So, that's where we're at with DC. Any thoughts about our folks up in Washington, DC that you want to share with us, Kimberly? I know they're your favorite people. I know they're absolutely your favorite people. But anything you want to share about these 2?
Am I still going round and round and round?
Yeah, yeah, that's what we got.
That's pretty much how Washington is these days. It's not transparent. We really don't know what's going on. And it just seems like day after day, we're going round and round and round with the most asinine bills, the most asinine opinions that the Republicans have. I'm sure there might be some old, back in the day, Ronald Reagan Republicans somewhere. And if there is, can they please stand up? I'm sure there are some Republicans somewhere that admire and use Abraham Lincoln as a iconic leader. If they're out there, can they please stand up? Because it's not the Republican Party anymore. It's the party of Trumpism 7.0. And maybe before the show is over, maybe my picture will come back up there again.
You're there. I think you're just a little blurred is what you are. So you're there. I see
Really,
you.
am I on this one? It's just going round and round and round.
You need to get yourself some bandwidth, Kimberly. I think that's what it comes down to. All right.
Ooh.
So speaking of round and round and round, that's really what we got with with those clowns in DC. Moving to Frankfort. We got a quick story we want to tell you. I want to tell you from Frankfort. I want to give some kudos to Governor Beshear, thanking him for using his veto pen. So that is because just today, perhaps yesterday, he vetoed a bill that would have ended the COVID emergency early, so cut it a month off of the COVID emergency, and in doing so, it would have actually cut benefits to the folks who need them because of that emergency. So I have a question: why would the GOP supermajority cut us out of $50 million in food assistance for folks who need it? Why would they do it? They would do it only for the exact same reasons that we just covered with Rand Paul and Thomas Massie making political hay out of a pandemic because they think it pleases their base. Of course, their base could very well be benefiting from those SNAP benefits, the $50 million that they would be giving back. But again, let's go to the man himself. Let's hear the quote from Andy Beshear. Given that we have zero statewide restrictions and we haven't for 6 months, all this does is hurt these folks by cutting off this extra food aid while doing absolutely nothing else. Beshear said in a statement when he vetoed that bill that cut the pandemic emergency proclamation a month early for zero good reason. So there we go. That's what we get out of Frankfort. Just a lot of political posturing, no real thoughtfulness, no real concern about how policies affect actual people, their actual voters and the citizens of our commonwealth, and that is it's a real shame. All right, so those are my stories. I think Kimberly, we've got you on tap now to do a handful of stories. I'm not going to run a timer because I'll tell you what, I'm having a hard enough time bring up a few images from time to time. So without a producer, there will be no 5-minute timer. Take as much time as you want, Kimberly. I know you've got a few important stories queued up that I would love to have you let folks know about right now. You ready to go?
Yes, I'm ready to go. News in 5. First story is this right here, and it is the Crown Act passes the House Judiciary Committee. And this would be a measure that would protect Kentuckians from being denied educational and employment opportunities because of their hair. And as one that likes to wear their natural hair, and then, yes, I do buy hair from time to time, and it is mine because I buy it, right? But still, sometimes, you know, natural hair in different cultures of people of color, it may be kinkier or curlier or coarse, whatever the case may be. And we should not be denied employment because our hair can, we don't always wear it straight. It's not, you know, so I do know of some instances of people that are still going through that right now. So I also would like to know on this particular bill that has passed the judiciary, what I would like to know is how can we How can we know that you didn't get the job because of your hair? How can we know? There needs to be some other policies in place. So if someone says, I didn't get the job because I wear locks in my hair or I had cornrows in my hair, how are we going to know that's the reason why you didn't get the job or the promotion, et cetera, et cetera? The other thing, a cute little tidbit that I would like everybody to know is that cornrows, yes. African, yes. Back during the slave years, it was so incredibly ingenious what they did. They would cornrow the hair, and the way they would cornrow it, it would be a map to freedom. Isn't that amazing? Yes. Now, also, I just want to say for the record, everybody's been downing our president, President Joseph Biden, because he did not come out and say that Putin was a war hero. I mean, a war criminal. Not a hero by any means. That would be our champion, our president, Joseph Biden. However, he finally came out and he did say that Putin is a war criminal. So uh, everybody kind of got what they wanted finally for him to say something about that. Now, also, Forbes has also alerted us that our great president, Joseph Biden, announced a $6.2 billion plan for student loan forgiveness. So if you have some outstanding student loans, okay, he is giving us $6.2 billion to clear that off of our slate, get that off of our credit reports. Stay tuned for that. Now, something else that's happening more or less here in Louisville, so to speak, that people are up in arms about. It's about billboards being in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, billboards in Atlanta, Georgia, trying to lure local officials, okay, to come to the LMPD, which is the Louisville Metro Police Department. So, yes, I did say it first. Why would they bring Erica Shields here to be the chief of police? When the mayor of Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms, didn't even want her. But I must say that I think she's doing a okay job, not necessarily a great job or an excellent job, but she came into a powder keg also in this particular county. So what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. What do you think about Biden giving us $6.2 billion? Like, those payments that you've been doing, that money could go back into your household. Actually, for right now, since the economy, inflation, rent is going up 41%, ground beef is up 14%, eggs is up 11%, and on and so forth. So maybe, this could kind of help with some of those inflation costs, the money that you can get back for your household, because our great president is going to give us $6.2 billion. Back to you, Aaron. I don't hear you, Aaron.
Thank you for that heads up. So yeah, those are important stories. Thanks for sharing them, Kimberly. Yeah, I am of two minds on the student loan forgiveness. I know that they've like held off student loan repayments during the pandemic, so kind of put them on pause, which I think is super smart. I think I don't know. I was very much of the mind that it's just a bad time to have this, new huge benefit that would go out. At the time that we've got, as you said, this kind of increasing, the skyrocketing inflation, the idea that the federal government would be pumping more money into the economy. Is that going to help inflation or is that going to hurt inflation? I mean, again, I'm not the chair of the Fed. I don't exactly know, but I think that's what the Republicans have been saying, right? Is that all this amazing spending by the Democrats is what is fueling this recession and this skyrocketing inflation? Again, I don't know, but I think it makes sense to a lot of people, right? And so I think if we play into that, it doesn't look great. Not that the midterms look great at all, but I was just thinking about the politics of it. And I'm like, no, I think they should hold off, cutting people's, unpaid student loans just because it'll be one more thing that they can pile on the Democrats about. That said, then I heard Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren, on another pod, on Pod Save America, describing how that student loan forgiveness can be this enormous engine to help actually people of color who not primarily but have kind of the game has been stacked against them in student loan repayments. So it actually could be one of the single biggest policies in terms of helping to level the playing field of kind of the difference between people of color and others in terms of accumulation of resources. So I'm like, well, she's an awfully smart person and she made it some compelling arguments. So now I'm totally torn. That said, obviously it's out of my power. Like I don't get to make a decision anyway, but there's a lot to think about there with that type of a benefit. And I just hope that whatever we do, I hope it's, explained well. I hope that, folks understand that it's not just college grads who will benefit from this, right? Because that sounds horrible. Like, hey, we got this benefit just for the folks who have graduated from college, right? But actually, a lot of the folks who would benefit are folks who didn't finish, right? So they actually spent a bunch of money. They went into debt to go to college to try to do the right thing. And now they're actually stuck because they didn't graduate. They're still, on a track that is for, folks who didn't graduate from college. So they ostensibly don't have the resources to pay off the debt they went into to try to get to that kind of level of, I don't know, salary and career advancement. So yeah, there's a lot to untangle. But I think if you actually get into the facts about it, you're gonna, I think there's a lot of really good reasons to do it if you really dig in. But that takes some conversation. That takes sharing some good information. As we all know, like, that's not really the strength of our democracy and our media ecosystem right now, is the actual finer points of a policy, who it helps, so who it hurts, and how it actually works. So that's my concern there.
Well, I got something for you. I see that Mike Breuer's on. He just commented. You see, Mike Breuer, and he just came out with a book.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's going to be an intrigue mystery thriller novel. And nice. I know that I have a autograph copy coming, and I know that I possibly can maybe get one for you, Aaron, if you treat me right. We need to review my contract here on Kernels of Truth.
We need to review your contract. Yeah. This all volunteer show, and make sure your compensation is where it needs to be.
Exactly.
Mike Breuer, if you don't know, great guy, ran for Senate, raised his hand to take on Moscow Mitch, which didn't make it through the primary. It was a very competitive primary, but ran strong in that primary, and he's now apparently in the Louisiana swamps. So good to know. That's place I spent a lot of time. I didn't spend that much time in the swamps. I did spend a lot of time in New Orleans, about 20 years there. So let me know if you need any recommendations on places.
Well, I have something great to tell you. I have something great to tell you. I had a very wonderful conversation last night with my sister, which is the wife of my brother, Mike Breuer. And she was telling me about, they were in the canoe in the swamps, and the canoe flipped over with all the alligators. Yes, they were like doing some Indiana Jones stuff. But if you know Mike Breuer, like I know Mike Breuer, he was the hero of the day. So, they're okay. There was no snappy snap from the alligators on them, and they came away unscathed, maybe a little bit leery of doing the canoeing thing again, but they made it through, and I was happy to hear that last night. What I wanted to tell you, Aaron, is this. I saw something, can't really remember where it is. I will find out, and I'll have the information by next week. But your dad's $5,600, that's $5,600 in 1960, is still worth more today than just $36,000. It's worth $20,000 more. Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing. Where did my dad put that? I wonder. I should go check with him.
Probably your degree.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying.
Oh
I get
yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah.
All right,
Right.
so we're going to do a couple things really quickly. I promised in the run of show that we would do a campaign corner recap. Which, if folks remember, last week we had just, I think, a wonderful campaign corner. We had Ethan's rescue pet project. Right, so Ethan, who I believe is 9 years old and is working, maybe 10, working to make Rescue Pets the official state pet of Kentucky. Well, if you remember, he and his team, aka his mother, are trying to make the 18th, so Friday the 18th, the day to call and to urge your representative, your senators, to support Ethan's rescue pet project. He's got bills: House Bill 100, Senate Bill 72, which would make rescue pets the official state pet of Kentucky. So that's the 18th. That's Friday. Put it in your calendar. Make that call. 1-800-372-7181. The nicest humans in our commonwealth will take your call. They'll write it down. They'll make sure your information gets to your legislators, and really well worth doing for Ethan and for just a call. Who the heck is opposed to that? Rescue Pets being the official state pet of Kentucky? Come on, people, do the right thing.
Like half of these people didn't even really care who the state animal was, right? But
Yeah,
I
right.
think this is only befitting of the rescue dogs. And I have a dog right here that everybody needs to help. This was my emotional support dog after one day with me. Can you see it?
I can't. You have actually froze on my end, so I am sorry to say I don't see your pet. I'm sorry to say.
What happened to me?
I don't know. I do not know. We've got bandwidth issues somewhere. Is it StreamYard? Is it my end? Is it your end? But you are frozen.
You are
I don't,
too.
oh no. Oh no.
Why you look so
Hopefully.
mean? You're like frozen in meantime.
Always. It's always horrible. All right. So I'm going to move on, assuming that you can see me moving. We're going to move on to the next segment, which is, again, bringing it back. It's one we've done in the past. The worst Politico of the moment. And like last week before, there were a number of anti-Semitic moments from the Kentucky GOP recently. So that is troubling on many levels. But we thought this moment really stood out as the worst, the most offensive, and most worthy of the title "Worst Politico of the Moment." That dishonor goes to Danny Bentley, who is a Republican from Greenup. All right, so the comments were launched during the debate over HB 3, so the horrible anti-choice bill passed overwhelmingly 2 weeks ago. There was an amendment offered by, the rest of this is actually from a story by Alex Acquisto in the Lexington Herald Leader. So I'm going to be quoting extensively from that article. Mary Lou Marzian, D. Louisville, was asking that the people of the Jewish faith be exempt from the bill's application because the religion teaches that life does not begin at conception. Since we brought up the Hebrew family today, Danny Bentley said, did you know that a Jewish woman has less cancer of the cervix than any other race in this country or this world? Why is that? Because Jewish women only have one sex partner. They don't have multiple sex partners. To say that the Jewish people approve of this drug now is wrong. Bentley also said that RU 486, one of the 2 pills prescribed to induce an abortion, the medical abortion, was invented by a Jew during World War II. It was called Zyklon B and used as the cyanide gas to kill millions of Jews during the Holocaust. That's the same thing the cyanide gas was used for, which killed millions of Jews during the Holocaust. That's where RU 486 started. End quote. So this is what Bentley was saying on the floor of the House. He thought this was wholly appropriate to be sharing on the record while debating the very important issue of abortion. He went on to say, the same company that manufactures RU486, he said, is working to develop a more effective product. Why would they do it? Because they're making money on it. The Jewish Federation of the Bluegrass in Lexington called Bentley's remarks a bizarre anti-Semitic rant that included outlandish claims about the sex lives of Jewish women and the outrageous assertion that Jews created the abortion pill during the Holocaust to profit financially. So that's Representative Danny Bentley. You might ring a bell because last year he was also tagged for spreading vaccine misinformation. This man is actually a pharmacist. So this is, his very, as was said by the Jewish Federation of the Bluegrass, bizarre comments. And we actually did say something about him back in September 2021 on Kernels of Truth. Danny Bentley, the pharmacist, said there's some reports that the bait and switch by the FDA and that the vaccine is not really approved. So this is a guy who cited online conspiracy theories. Quote, something just isn't right about this. We continue with a vaccine that is against our safety and efficacy in this country, he said, which of course is wholly not true. So this is your hometown family pharmacist. If he's in your hometown, I would suggest checking around for another pharmacist. So that's what we've got, folks. That is the worst Politico of the moment. And very, very sorry to have to give him this honor, but he did it himself, and we got to call him out. So there he is. If he's your representative, you might want to give him a call and tell him you're ashamed of his comments. All right. So a couple things we're going to do now. I think we've got Kimberly back. She can move. She's not just a spinning disc.
Oh, wait a minute. I had to show you this. Can you see it? Can you see it?
It's blurry. I don't know it's blurry. I can't see it. I don't know what it is.
It says on here, it's really cute. It says, my support dog after one day with me. Let me bring them back up.
Uh-huh.
Okay, can you see it?
Not at all. And still can't. It's blurry. I'm gonna need to trust you. You're gonna need to share that in the comments. Can you please share that in the comments so we can all see that?
Yes, I will. I'll go there right this minute.
All right. So now, folks, we are super excited. We're going to turn to our guest of the evening. Here at Kernels of Truth, we bring you the best. We bring you the folks you need to listen to. We are very pleased to be joined this evening by Virginia Woodward, who is the chair of the Louisville Democratic Party. She's got a few things she wants to share with us. I personally want to find out how they do what they do in our undisputed Democratic stronghold of our commonwealth. But I want to just welcome to the show, Virginia Woodward. How are you doing this evening?
Doing just fine. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, absolutely. Just thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a busy person, just, enjoying your Democratic power there in Louisville. And I want to just, get from you a sense of kind of what's the state of the Democratic Party in Louisville, and what would you suggest that we in the hinterlands do to replicate your power and influence, and then maybe we could talk a little bit about how you think the session is going, and things of that nature. I know you guys have an event you want to plug that we're very excited to hear about as well. So yeah, just kind of what do you got for us, Virginia?
Well, we're just plugging away every day. I know everybody thinks that it's such a stronghold, but it doesn't happen without working on it every day. And
so yeah, you don't just sit back and enjoy the power and the prestige. You actually work to ensure that it continues and grows.
Absolutely. Don't know that I have any power or prestige, but we do work hard. We're all volunteer driven here in Jefferson County. And our bottom line goal is to get good Democrats elected, progressive Democrats, people that are concerned about people, and that working families have a strong voice in Frankfort. So, and in the mayor's race and in Congress. So we've got a big year coming up. We've got a lot of races on the ticket this year. And then on top of that, of course, all of the judges that will be running. So I'm just thankful for the amount of time that our volunteers give, our LDs, our regular volunteers, people that come in and man our office, or woman our office. It's all about volunteerism, and I guess that's what democracy is messy. It always has been and always will be, and so we don't take any day for granted. Every day we work on it, and we're trying to get our committees going. We have big plans with what we would like to do. Obviously, we feel we delivered the governor's race 2 years ago, and we want to work equally as hard to deliver races here in Jefferson County for the Senate and for state representative, and also keep the mayor a Democrat. There are some metro races on as well. So we've got a big job ahead. Big job.
Absolutely. You've got, of course, the one legislative district, the congressional district rather, that is semi-reliably Democrat, right? So it seems like the primary is a big fight there to see who will be able to kind of take up the banner and run in the general election. I love that you take credit for the governor's race, which, with a 5,000 vote margin of victory, a lot of folks get to take credit for that governor's race, and I'm very glad that that we everyone worked as hard as they did to get him elected, and you guys absolutely should take credit, because I know that the vote margin there was wonderful. But what do you think? What can other parts of this Commonwealth learn from your example in terms of building that power, and how do you do it, and how do you between you and me and whoever else is watching the show, there are parts of this state that, to say you're a Democrat, it evokes images of Nancy Pelosi and all the things people are learning about how horrible Democrats are on Fox News, and absolutely raises people's ire. What do you think? What's our best way to counter that, and how are you doing it in Louisville?
Well, I think it comes down to message and delivering. The message for us is that we're about working families. We're about public education. We're about jobs. We're about unions, because of all the things that's done, not only for men, but also for women. The equality of pay is extremely important, and childcare, all of the things that are kind of pocketbook issues that families care about. That's what we see the Democratic Party. And we haven't been able to take a rest. A lot of places, when it's an off year, there's not a big election, there's kind of a time to go, oh, we haven't done that. Not here. It's been gearing up for the next thing and being ready for the special elections that come about. And we've just been driving it. And so far, I'm so pleased with how people have stepped up. And I think keeping people engaged in whatever their interest is. They're through the Louisville volunteers, the Louisville Democrat volunteers. They've done a lot of charity work this year to keep people involved. And as we gear up for our races, once we get through the primary, we all come together as one. And it is moving those candidates forward and making it happen. So that's the next thing on our list. And so I know that out in the state, it's hard to motivate people, and they look around and those FDR Democrats are no longer voting Democrat. But I personally feel it's about message, and we've missed the message. We get 24% of our economic development here in Jefferson County comes from what we would call agriculture, thereabouts. But out in the state, they're all about agriculture. But we've allowed the other party to have a stronger message, which has pulled people away, divisive messages, instead of looking at the bottom line. And the bottom line is we're all in this together. And, when you talk about what Democrats have delivered for the average voter, we would not have Social Security. And the Republicans, ever since it got put in, have tried to take it out. We would not have Medicare, Medicaid, if it hadn't been for Democrats. Those kind of things have changed our world. We wouldn't have the health care plan if it wasn't for Democrats, whether you call that Obamacare, or ACA, or Kentucky Connect. The buck stopped here, that we knew that people needed to get care wherever we are. Somewhere down the line, we've lost that ability to message and talk about the pocketbook issues that everybody is interested in. And a lot of public assistance has come out now because of Democrats from the federal government, and they've had their hands out like everybody else. And we need to remind them, Democrats brought this money to you. They passed it in the Senate. They passed it in the House. Democrats brought this to you. And so the messaging has to be stronger. It has to be more direct. And, we're dealing, I think, with a lot of FDR voters who have lost their way, and they've become very caught up in whatever the divisiveness is, whatever drives us apart, instead of what brings us together. And if we get through it as a society, it's going to be about what brings us together. We see this on the international stage when we see people coming who have lived in other countries forever, but they're going home to Ukraine to help them fight this brutal takeover. And that's what it's about in messaging, when you're trying to bring people home and say, who was it that gave Social Security to you? And who did those things, and who continues to deliver on those kind of messages. So we remind people here in Jefferson County, and luckily we have a lot of folks who still remember that and understand, but we need to take that message beyond, where we are, and also listen to what they're telling us. There's our small time farmers are being bought up by big corporations. Is that really good for us as a state? Is it good for us as a people? But we leave them kind of out there on their own. So there are real, true rural issues that we need to address as a state. We've left them virtually without a message about why Democrats can deliver. Democrats can give you a seat at the table. And I hope that as we approach the governor's race, which will be, and all of the other races, which will be statewide, we will consider again what that message has to be. And it's part of it is messaging, and part of it is listening. What do you need? How can we help? What's the difference that together we can make a difference, rather than allowing another group with a very divisive message drag people out, drag people apart.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And we're seeing a lot of the kind of fear-driven divisiveness that's coming from Fox News and other places, or they're kind of little sister outlets on radio, right-wing radio, and I think it is absolutely geared to dividing us and taking our eye off the ball about what can government actually do to help us, and instead make them the enemy. And of course, if you look at how those folks or those ideas are playing out in Frankfort, it's like, oh yeah, here's 8 more abortion bills, and let's make sure there's a statewide abortion vote, so that we can use that divisiveness to get their folks out there. And it's disappointing. I think there's just a lot of if you look at the actual track record of what they're doing in Frankfort, how are they helping? They've got these historic supermajorities, and how are they using those supermajorities? Right? It's like to take away benefits from people, take away the social safety net from people, to cut our taxes for rich people, and putting more of an emphasis on sales tax, which of course hurts poor people more. So that's how they delivered, right? That's what Republicans will deliver. But it's hard to break through, because people just generally kind of want to wash their hands of what happens in Frankfort, right? No one pays very close attention, and it's all just kind of nasty. I think people do give, and we've been doing a lot of actually direct voter contacts. We've been knocking on a lot of doors in a lot of working class neighborhoods over the past month or so. And I'll just tell you, Virginia, what I'm seeing is there are people who are absolutely skeptical that corporations are in it for are going to take care of them, right? But they also are equally skeptical that the government will step up in and do the right thing. They don't really trust government or politics to deliver for them either. Thankfully, I think people have figured out that Andy Bashir has worked really hard to take care of folks during this unprecedented pandemic. So people absolutely think he's doing the best he can. But then you ask the question about Biden, and it's all like, more right-wing talking points, right? So there seems to be a pretty big division between federal Democrats and what's happening in Frankfort from Andy specifically. So, and I guess that's, at the end of the day, what's that mean? That means like, when folks actually see the policies that the Republican Party, put in place, they don't really like them. So they like the policies that come out of a Democratic-led governor's mansion. But again, they aren't paying close enough attention to realize that GOP supermajority is doing everything in their power to take away that ability for Andy to deliver for us. So there's a lot to consider, and there's a lot of work to do, I think, to try to push, kind of inform the conversation a bit more about how, at the federal level, things that you are enjoying right now would not have existed but for Democratic leadership. And you got to connect those dots in a very, I think, real way, which takes a little bit of time, and you got to break through a lot of just calcified inherent distrust of the political system writ large, whoever's in charge. But it's we got some work to do. I'm glad that you are working so hard in our stronghold, where there's plenty of votes to be had, and we need to make sure that we get the most out of that area for sure, and that we got good folks like you telling the stories about how Democrats can deliver. So thank you so much for doing that work and joining. Anything else you want to share with folks this evening?
Well, I guess the big thing is we're all volunteer driven. We don't get any money from any place. And we're having our big Wendell Ford dinner to honor Governor Wendell Ford. Of course, he was a U.S. Senator during Bill Clinton's time. And it's going to be on April the 8th. It will be at the Galt House, the original Galt House downtown. Cocktails at 5:30, dinner at 7. And it's going to be a fun time. We're having live music, silent auction. And with this money, this is what pays our gas and electric and rent on our building. So it's very important that we continue to have a very successful Wendell Ford. Be an opportunity to meet some candidates who are running personally, not just see them on TV, and be able to mix and mingle with some political folks. We expect some from out in the state to come because it's become kind of a yearly event. Everybody wants to come and see their friends they haven't seen in a while. And so we hope everybody will come and make it a part of their schedule. Congressman John Yarmouth, this will be one of his last large appearances before his term ends. Will be there and will be speaking. The governor is coming in from Frankfort, and he also will be speaking, and we'll have a lot of other things going on. So hope people will mark April the 8th and come join us, be a part of the team, be a part of the messaging that Democrats are going to carry it forward. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
Miss
thanks so much.
Virginia, you all forgot about me.
No, we can never forget about you, Kimberly.
Yes, you all did. Yes, you all did. But it's okay. But I will say this. I always look at the Wendell Ford dinner as the who's who of the Democratic Party. The governor, the mayor, everybody, all from all over the state, your judges, people are taking pictures together with their sororities and fraternities, and they're in the political arena. So it's very, very exciting. I just want everybody to know that there's no energy like a Wendell Ford dinner energy. And I don't have a question for Miss Virginia Woodward because she's just absolutely fabulous. But I want all of our viewers to know something about her. And I don't want her to be embarrassed or anything of that nature because she is such a very humble type of individual. She actually does things from her heart for the betterment of the constituency and for the betterment of our party. And so I've known Miss Virginia Woodward for quite some time, back in, not that far back in the day, but, she was rolling with my mom and all the women that made it possible for women such as myself, women such as Colonel Pam Stevenson, Jessica Green, women such as Keturah Herron, which I must put this out here. Our Democratic Party here in Louisville, Jefferson County, we did the daggone thing to get the voters out, and it was a annihilation, should I say, of about 91% going towards Keturah Herron, the first LGBTQIA plus individual in the legislature. So I just want everybody to know that Miss Virginia Woodward has been out here stomping the pavement. I've seen her canvassing for years and years and years, making phone calls, getting the money for the party. And now that she's the chair, yes, I did vote for her because she is more than worthy. She's more than experienced. She's more than honestly, I think pretty soon, I see her being the chairperson of the complete party in the next years to come.
Goodness. Oh, my campaign manager's right here, Aaron. I'm so sorry. Oh, God.
Yeah, no, she's a good one. She's absolutely a good one.
She is
And
an
she
excellent
was so glad that you could join us tonight. And, I am glad as well. Thank you for sharing your perspective. Thank you for, allowing us to learn a bit about how y'all do what you do in Louisville. Something we can hopefully export to, all the places, all the counties of our commonwealth. Because again, Democrats do work for the working people. And that work is, we're a poor state. Why in the world would we be electing Republicans in this state? So I think it's really important that folks understand the link between policies and politics. And you guys do a great job of explaining that, Virginia. So thanks again for spending some time with us.
Thanks. Anytime.
Awesome. All right, so we're gonna have a few things to mention to kind of close out the show. And then hopefully we're gonna bring this in under an hour. That's our goal. We're getting close. So a few things just to share with you as we move on here. We did put that link into the chat for that Wendell Ford dinner. That's an Act Blue account there. You can go ahead and get your ticket and join Virginia, and I'm sure Kimberly there as well at the Wendell Ford dinner on the April 8th. So, all right, quick call to action. We really do need your help. Progress Kentucky is not messing around. We are going to make our state more politically engaged. We're going to win more progressive representation. We've got a plan to do it, but we need your support to make the plan a reality. We have been out door to door canvassing. As I just mentioned, we're phone banking. We're knocking on doors, and I have found it to be super eye-opening about what people are thinking. Working class voters, maybe not like dyed in the wool committed voters, but folks who definitely can vote if motivated to do so. We're trying to figure out what motivates them, right? So help us determine the best, most powerful way to discuss the economic issues with rural county voters, the voters we absolutely need to support progressive politics and politicians if we're ever going to see better representation in Frankfort and Washington, D.C. This organizing is going to be critical to persuade more people to vote for folks who will be able to stand against that GOP anti-worker, anti-teacher, anti-public health agenda. Turn out these voters and win the close elections. So please join us. I think we're going to do. I think this Saturday we'll be doing some knocking, having some conversations. If you want to join us, you can mention in the comments or shoot us an email at info@progressky.org. That's what's going on. A few things we want to point out that KFTC and Hood to the Holler are doing their voting rights issue introduction webinar on March 22nd. So that's next Tuesday. That's coming up quick. A great opportunity to get involved and support. I think just some smart organizing. Also, the Poor People's Campaign. They are having a moral march and mass meeting in Cleveland, Ohio. That is actually, I think, Nope, sorry. Poor People's Campaign, they're definitely doing some work. I think there's a Moral March, Moral Monday March on the 21st. So that's next Monday. That they're going to be gathering in Frankfort. So really important stuff. That they're doing a lot to fight this. I think HB7, which would cut all these important benefits, make it a much harder case for people to make lots of extra duplicative reporting, really an effort to kick people off of benefits that they need in Frankfurt. So that's something I think the Poor People's Campaign are organizing around. So that's kind of what I've got, I think, for this week. I want to throw it over to Kimberly to close us out.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that was I just like, did I lay it on too heavy to Miss Virginia? I mean, like I really feel that way. Like I was thinking, like, daggone, like they might think I'm like putting it on really heavy. But I mean, I just got to be honest. I've been knowing her for a long time, and I know who she is, and I know that because of her, I have opportunities in the political spectrum in this state. She's one of the trailblazers is what I'm really trying to say. But anyway, she knows I love her. I tell her I love her all the time. So she was a wonderful guest.
I want to just be clear. It did not come off as you were like trying to, make her out to be bigger than she was. It wasn't like, I thought it was super authentic and genuine and, heartfelt. And that's, yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know because she doesn't say that about herself. And you could kind of tell she was like, oh, but that's really who she is. And I'm glad that that she, how could I put, I'm really, really glad that I had the opportunity to know her since I was about 11 or 12 years old. Okay. And see her progression as she has also seen mine. And whatever I need, not just me, but anyone who's in the Democratic Party, yourself, Aaron, anybody, if you ever need Miss Virginia Woodward, she's going to be there for you if she can. And that's for real. That's real talk. So thank you to her. Thank you for this great show. Thank you to Aaron Viles. I say it every week. He's the best co-host, sort of. On this side of the Mississippi. He really is. He is family. He cares. He loves. He's compassionate. And he is also passionate about Kentucky. So we will be back next week at 7 p.m., same time, same channel. And for the disclaimer, I'd like to say that Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State, organized as a 501c4, is affiliated with the Indivisible Project and the Commonwealth Alliance Voter Engagement, known as CAVE. Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Some of the graphical content was provided by Couchfire Media. You can see more of their work on couchfiremedia.com. And production this week, our wonderful Annabelle Nagel was out this evening. So I guess I can say thank you so much for the production tonight from Aaron Viles. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he had absolutely nothing to do with my blurry picture and me keep getting cut off. I promise I'll be back crystal clear next week. Also, just want to say thank you to Nate. I have to say this every time because that song gets me going, gets me hyped before we come on live for you. And you can listen to more of his songs at natosongs.com. That's NATO songs.com. And also, if you miss our live stream, do not fret, my pet. You can listen to us. You can see us again on Facebook. Then if you are doing some other type of work, you're at your job, whatever, you can listen to us on the podcasting on just about anywhere that you get your podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever. So you know what I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, spread the love, do something nice for someone this week. It doesn't cost you anything for a smile. It doesn't cost you anything to text someone, hey, I was just thinking about you, checking in on you, whatever the case may be. So do something nice for someone this week. And we will see you next week at the same time, 7 p.m. Bye.